So some of you have lines that you want to engrave so you know where to fold your acrylic. Here's an example of one of those projects. You can see that everything here is in a single layer. It might be a good thing to do a little bit of grouping. So let's show you how to do that really quickly. You can go in with your selection tool, select all of those circles, and let's turn those into a group, right? You can do that here or with the key command, and that'll help there. Then, as we're looking at the rest of this, we can see that there are other aspects that might need to be grouped too. For now, we're just going to leave that be. When you have one layer with everything, and you have lines that you want to engrave but not cut, you need to put these 3 lines on a separate layer. And then you can have all of the other vector lines or strokes down to 0.001 so they'll cut. So let's see, how could you do this? One way that you could do this would be to use your direct selection tool. With your direct selection tool, you can select a single path. The blue line highlights, and it just selects that path, not the other part of any box that it's a part of. You can copy that line, and then we want to create the second layer. The second layer can be created by, down here there's a little plus in a box. We're going to make a new layer. It should come up as a new color. And if you have your line selected, the path selected here, and the new layer highlighted, you can go to Arrange, Send to Current Layer, and the highlight means that the red layer is the current layer. Now you can see how that is on the red layer. If you blink that, that line goes away. If you had 2 lines over each other, you might see a second path that you would need to delete, right? So you don't have 2 overlapping. But that's working really well for this one. Now, let's go back to that first layer and do the same thing again. We're going to select this line, and then we're going to highlight layer 2, Object, Arrange, Send to Current Layer. That's 2. The third one we need to do is here. Again, I'm going to select that, and then I'm going to Object, Arrange. Oh, I didn't move to the current layer. Okay, so we have to select that red layer, Object, Arrange, Send to Current Layer. Now we have all 3 of the lines that we want to engrave, right? Everything else cuts, in a separate layer. I have these set to a 1 millimeter stroke width. Frankly, I think that's probably plenty. You can make it a little bit bigger if you wanted to, but I think that will give you enough of a hint of where to bend the acrylic when we get there. So I'm going to lock that layer. You can also blink that layer if you want to momentarily. Now, to let the other lines be adjusted so that they will be cut lines, we're going to select that whole layer. We can do it here with a meatball, or if these are the ones visible, do Command A. Then we can go up to the stroke and make that a 0.001. And if we hit Return or Tab, you will see that now those are a very thin stroke line. In fact, let me hide the grid for a minute. There we go. And you can see how that's there, but barely there. I don't even know if you can see that in the screencast. But they're in there. They're just super thin lines, right? Okay. And then we can turn on this one again, and you can see how that's the difference between the path that's going to cut and the lines that are going to engrave, right? So if we do all of that, you can see now that difference there. Then we can drop this into the shared file for the laser cutters, and we can go out and arrange this and cut it. Now remember, this is in the top left-hand corner of the material, so we can place this corner on your acrylic with the red pointer and make sure it's all going to line up before we engrave and cut. Okay. Please also make sure that your engrave line is above your cut line. It will do all the engraving first, then it may run the cut lines, or we might have to go back in and blink this and run the cut lines for a second run on your file. That should do it. Check out the next screencast that will talk to you about adding graphics.